Are you hearing as many people talk about embodiment as I am? Because I'm hearing it from so many people, and there's nothing wrong about what I'm hearing them say, but I think that they're missing something so deep, something that I'm not hearing anyone else talk about that I've seen in my own life be absolutely game changing. This understanding is a fundamental shift. I think all of those other definitions actually depend on this one. So let's go into what it is, and then I'm going to share some stories from my life about why I've seen it be so game changing. So think about what we hear very often, that embodiment is getting out of your head and into your body. Yeah, sure. Or that embodiment is walking the walk and not just talking the talk. Yeah, sure. Or that embodiment is aligning your actions with your values. Yeah, sure. Or that embodiment is taking something that's just an idea and bringing it into form, embodying it. Yeah, sure. But what all of these miss, this deep truth that they miss, is that your physical state impacts how you process information. Now, what do I mean by this? There was a study done. Scientists did a study where there were these other controls, like people were invited into this room, but what they had was that these two different groups, some were given something hot and some were given something cold, a beverage, whenever they walked in. And the people who walked into the room with a warm beverage perceived the speaker to be more warm and more friendly, while the people who were given the cold beverage perceived the speaker to be more cold and more distant. And so this is such a fundamental shift, because if you think about your creativity, if you think about what you're doing in your life, we're not just experiencing the world, we're experiencing what we perceive. And so, how information is coming in, that's affected by your physical state. What you are embodying is affecting how you process information. Every thought you think passes through your posture, your breathing. So, think about it. If you have your shoulders all tense, you're going to be seeming, things are going to seem more tense. If you're holding something heavy, you're going to perceive some news as heavier. If your breathing is really shallow, your thoughts are going to be more anxious. And so, how this plays out, like, maybe you're going to work every day and all you've had is a cup of coffee. So now your physical state is very acidic. And there's that person, every time that you walk into the office, they say something and it just, oh, it rubs you the wrong way. Is it actually the thing that they are saying? Because it's the same person in the same words, but if you went into the room in a state, say you had a cup of nettle tea, which has high in magnesium, helps your body to relax and be in a more calm state, is it really about what that person is saying, or is it about the physical experience that you have, that your body, you're feeling acidic, you're hungry, you're hangry, right? How many people have experienced this? It wasn't actually what someone said. You were just hungry. That's embodiment. That's because, and it's so important because it's self-responsible. It's taking the pressure off of the things outside of you and putting it onto yourself. And it's not just about the information, but how you're perceiving the information. And so, one little story to kick us off, I heard that sticking your face in a bowl of ice cold water helps you, like, your pores close up, brighten your skin. And I was like, well, I don't want to like waste a whole thing of water. So maybe I'll just rub an ice cube on my face. And very quickly, what I noticed was when I'd wake up and rub an ice cube on my face, it wasn't just about my skin. It was that the experience of, whenever you're waking up and your eyes are kind of like puffy and like they feel, you feel tired. Turns out I could just reduce the swelling around my eyes and it felt like I got more sleep, because I'm no longer in a somatic experiencing of processing information of, oh, this is how my eyes feel when I'm tired, when I'm groggy. I get rid of how my eyes feel when I'm tired and I'm groggy. I get rid of that somatic state. And now I process things like I'm more awake. I feel more awake because I've gotten rid of that thing that was causing me to somatically feel more tired beyond just like the actual amount of sleep I got or my adrenals and like all of these other things that play a part in that. Another story, and this is actually how I got into this thinking before I found all of these studies that backed up what I was experiencing and gave me language. This is actually the phenomenological definition of embodiment in psychology, that your physical state impacts how you process information. So before that, when I was getting a degree in theater, I started to do yoga and I was really enjoying doing yoga. And I had this idea one day to not just do yoga for myself, but like as this character. Okay, if I'm going to be this character and they're a homeless woman, what might that do to my root chakra or like my sense of security in the world? How might my legs move? How might my hips feel while I'm doing yoga as this person if I am homeless? Or say there's someone who's just had their heart broken. What's going to happen to my chest? Am I going to be really resistant to chest openers whenever I'm doing yoga because my heart is feeling collapsed? And why I started doing this was because one day I had an acting professor talk about how acting isn't actually acting, it's reacting. We're always just reacting to the information that is coming in. And so I realized, okay, well, if I can somatically put myself in a state that this character is in, then I will react as them with their values, with their feelings. With those feelings will arise from in my body because I'm somatically in a state that they would be in. And so then I'm going to respond, and yeah, I would have my lines memorized, but the emotion that comes behind it, the inflections, all of that other intonation and stuff, that's all determined by how I was experiencing it in my body, how I was reacting because of the physical state that I was in. And so I've had this understanding, and I would share it with people in dance classes and that I was talking about. But then as I got deeper and deeper into studying and learning about it, I realized it's whole, and it's a phenomenological definition because it's a phenomenon. And that's not just saying that embodiment is a phenomenon, as in everyone's talking about embodiment, and so it's a phenomenon, but it's a phenomenon as in we don't know why it happens. It's a phenomenon because it's not clear how exactly. And this gets into Descartes' mind-body problem, which is how the body is in measurable linear space, whereas the mind is not measurable. I can't measure my perception of red. I can only measure wavelengths and say, ah, those wavelengths means that thing is red. But are you seeing, are you perceiving what I'm perceiving? Again, that's why it's that your physical state impacts how you perceive information, not just what the information is, but you have to realize that any bit of information, as soon as you think it, it has gone through the lens of your perception consciously and unconsciously. And especially that unconscious part is deep in your fascia. It's in your body. It's living in your body. That's how that unconscious, you are embodying all of these stories that you tell yourself, all of these beliefs that you have in your body. The reason this changes everything is because you can impact what you're doing. Like I could change up my body to be different characters. You can do that for yourself, the character that you're playing in the life of, in your story, the main character energy of you living out your story. Again, why it's so self-responsible and so about your inner authority versus the outer authority versus the information. It's about the authority that you have over yourself and specifically your somatic state. Say your shoulders are really slouched. You might have more pessimistic thoughts. Maybe your chest is open. You're going to have more confident, expansive thoughts and ideas. Say your breathing is really shallow. You're going to feel more anxious in your thoughts. Or say your shoulders are really tense. You might get more defensive and be more on guard and be more protective. And so not only can you look at, okay, well, what would the physical state that I want, like say I want peaceful thoughts. What does peace look like in my body? Is that shallow breathing? If you're feeling really anxious, if you want to have different thoughts because you're realizing that you're feeling anxious, move your body in a way that will allow you to process information as less stressful, that to have less stressful thoughts. What are you doing? That's why something like yoga or a really good sweat session or a breathwork session, it changes how you feel because it changes your thoughts, and your thoughts and your feelings are so deeply connected. Thoughts, feelings, and actions. This is what I've talked about since the beginning of this show, how the stories you tell yourself. These three questions will change your life. What is the story I'm telling myself? What do I do because of that story? And then how do I feel doing or thinking that? This is your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings all being intertwined. And that's all you can control. I wish, trust me, if I could snap my fingers and everyone on earth be fed, I would. But I don't, that's manifestation hasn't worked for me like that yet. Trust me. Otherwise, everyone would be fed. But what can I do to allow myself to show up every day and pursue those goals of world peace and living a life of creativity and love and beauty? What can I do to somatically embody that so that I can make those decisions that allow me to produce those kinds of results in my life? And that's what I do in my coaching program. What I've seen, and I've seen it work with different people. I've seen this, like I said, not only in my own life, but then in other people's lives as well, giving them the habits that are going to help put them in a somatic state to remove the blocks. So it's not just the mental block. We're not, because it's bi-directional. It's like the song, free your mind and your ass will follow. Free your ass and your mind will follow. So you can change what you're physically doing. You can look at what you're physically doing and change those things, and then your mind will follow. You will start to have more liberated thoughts. You will start to show up for your creativity. You will no longer have the resistance to going to the gym because you have addressed physically what was affecting you processing information in such a way that you felt like those were positive things for you, or that those were things that you wanted. This gets to the root of desire and how much that is linked to our willpower, even because what you desire, when that is again not self-responsible, it's something that's being told to you from all of these different sources. It's not something you own or embody. It's just these disembodied desires that aren't actually connected to what you need somatically in that time, or what you have the resources to be able to do at that moment. And the experience of wanting brings more wanting. The experience of having brings more having. It's a perfect mirror. And so this is something that I've been seeing so much in my own life. And so believing that I can, and not just believing, but embodying the having is like one thing that I've been doing is I'm journaling every morning. I have. So I'm starting to see it, and I'm taking actions that are things not of me wanting things or doing something like maybe kind of like being cheap on something and like not actually getting the thing that I want. Very much an ingrained story, very much something that I've lived in my actions for a long time. That was how I was brought up. This is something that I am doing now, that I get to make these choices where I'm going, this is what makes me feel worthy. This is what makes, and so that's why all of those other definitions of embodiment depend on this one, because only then can I align my actions with my values if I'm not somatically sabotaging my judgment of what is valuable by how I'm perceiving information. Here's one way to make embodiment work for you. The next time that you are making a big decision, or you're having an argument, something like that, an intense situation, ask, what is my body doing right now? And then intentionally shift it and notice how your mind changes. Notice how your thoughts change, the new kinds of ideas that become available to you. Even say you are resisting doing a creative project. There's something that you've been wanting to do, but you keep on putting it off. Ask, what am I doing in my body right now? And notice, are you feeling anxious? Where are you feeling that in your body? Where is that coming from? Address that physical root. Maybe you are overtired and you do need to sleep. Go get the sleep that you need so you can show up to it feeling alive and full of life, full of joy, full of the courage to take this action that you need, feeling tired. And this is so many people. So many people are burnt out because they are overtired. That means that you don't necessarily need to go do that creative thing. That means you need to sleep so you can show up for that creative thing in a way that is, and I will say, in your best suited to show up for it, but thinking about that, it can also be such a cop out when I say that, oh, well, I'm not feeling physically ready for it. Oh, I don't know that I feel like doing something. That's not what I mean. Because say you are waking up and you have this amazing morning ritual, and this is what I talk about with my coaching clients, what we set them up for in the coaching program, all of these different habits so that they can show up for their day and they have the courage to be resilient or to tackle the challenges. Because I'm not saying that you get this embodiment thing down and then you're never sad again or you never are in pain again. No, it's an ability to look at that and realize how it's affecting how you process information so you can change what you're physically experiencing so that you change the way that you're thinking about it. This is embodiment. Next time you're stuck on a problem, stand up, shift your posture, change your breathing, and notice how differently you start thinking about the problem. Your body isn't just carrying your brain around. Your body is how you think. Your body is your creative process. Help me spread this word. If you found this valuable, please let someone know because I'm trying to scream it from the rooftops. I'm not on a rooftop right now, but and I also don't want to scream into my mic. But but maybe one day we can meet up and we can scream about it together. All right, I love you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode.